right. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are in the last leg of an intro to editing video in Premiere. So we're going to come in and just do a few other things, that I want to show you. And then we're going to export the final product. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is that in your effects panel up here, I had searched for blur earlier. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. One thing that you might find very useful are the video transitions and the audio transitions. So the first thing that we're going to do is open the audio transitions. Now, there aren't very many of them because basically all anyone ever wants to do with audio for the most part is fade it in and then fade it out. So that's what we're going to do. There's constant power, exponential fade, and constant gain. I quite honestly don't know the technical difference between those. I really don't. So let's just go ahead. I know that there is one. I just don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. You can experiment with them and see what the sound differences are. But you can see if I take this clip and I drag it down to the beginning of my audio, what you're going to notice, and let's zoom in on this a little bit. What you're going to notice is the amplitude increasing over time and that the sound is going to fade in. Now you can come in and you can edit the length of this. Like if you want it to be a little shorter, you can edit that. And then you can also, there are a few controls right here, like the duration, for example, which is exactly what we just edited. So I'm going to go ahead and throw on a constant gain in the beginning and the end of my video. I know the one at the beginning of my video was 11 seconds. So I'm going to come down here and click on this one. And, well, let me see. What is it? Is it 11? That's 11 frames. Actually, that's pretty short. So I'm going to come and take this one and stretch it out. That's 1 second, 0.8. I'm going to go ahead and just edit it down, which I can manually do that up here as well. So now that they're the same. And so you're going to hear it fade out at the end. So great, our audio's faded in and out, and you can do this with your video as well. There are more video transitions, clearly, than there are with audio. You can see there are a bunch of different options here. You've got your cheese ball transitions that have been around since the beginning of video editing. So if we look at the wipes, for example, you've got one called Barn Doors. So what you could do is drag and drop that on your video. Here's the barn door. And you're going to see it at work. Here at the beginning of the ocean video. So if you want to see how that's looking, you can take your scrubbing tool and move it back and forth and kind of check it out. There are edits that you can make here. So if you don't like that it's sitting on the beginning of the ocean video, you can see here there's an alignment option. It says start at cut. You could center it at the cut instead, and you can see it moves it over and times it a little bit differently, okay? You can change the duration of it here, or I think you can manually change it there, but it's a little less calculated. I'll go ahead, I'm gonna make it a lot faster, so I'm gonna make it really small. Okay. These types of transitions are okay to use, but they're overused a lot of times. So they can be seen as being a little bit cheesy. You have a lot of dissolve options that can be really nice depending on what you're doing. You don't always want to use transitions on everything because I'm going to go ahead and center this one because it can be too many pauses in your video content depending on what you're doing. You can see this one here is a bit of a bleach out and then a cross dissolve. Okay. let's say for artistic purposes, I like this ocean video, but in the middle of it, I actually want it to turn black and white for just a moment. So you can actually, I'm going to go ahead, let's take our razor tool and let's just cut out a middle section of the ocean video. And you can have, you know, this in kind of whatever order you want. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine. It shouldn't be probably, but I do want you to, you know, practice applying these different things. So there's a filter called black and white, which a lot of people like to use. Let me see here. There it is, black and white. So it's under image control. So if you just search for black, take black and white, and then I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop it on that clip. And you're going to see there that it switches my video from color to black and white, which might be really important for the artistic purposes of my video. You can see that black and white shows up here, and there are some edits that can be made. You know, you can edit the path. You can edit with a mask, like what is going on with the black and white. You can see it's black and white here and color on the outside. I'm not going to get into that too much today because that's, you know, it's a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and Command Z, which, by the way, if you don't know Command Z or Control Z, that is your best friend. That is undo. So I just backed that out. All right, so this roller skating video, let's say there's kind of two parts to it, right? It's like it kind of shows us the roller skates in close up, and then we back out and see the person out skating afterwards. But let's say for whatever reason, for artistic purposes, for the purposes of storytelling, I actually want this clip of the close-up of the skates to repeat while we're watching the person skating again, okay? So this is about layering and overlapping things for, you know, artistic reasons and also playing with the constraints of the frame. So I'm going to take this video and I'm going to grab my razor tool. Remember that's C for cut as a quick key. I'm going to cut it right here. I am going to choose the beginning of the video and I'm going to Command C. I'm going to move my scrubbing tool down the timeline off of my project. I'm going to hit Command V or Control V if you're on a PC. And I've copied and pasted this video clip. I'm going to bring the clip over the top of where this video begins to back out and show more of a full frame shot. So, you know, you'll learn this in cinematic language, right? But these are kind of close-up shots showing a specific thing. And then the video backs out here and shows the person skating around, which you can't see because I need to change the size of this clip. So I'm going to zoom into my timeline just a little bit here. And I'm going to say, you know, I don't want it overlapping the whole time. I want it to be like we see the skate close up and then the person's out skating and then they have the memory of putting the skates on or something like that, right? So I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to cut it. Let's see. I'm going to Command Z and undo that. I am going to cut it when it cuts the shot right here. So let's say I just want this shot right here to replay again. So I'm going to edit it on the back end there. I'm going to get rid of the rest of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just put it somewhere in this center. Okay. Now, I need to rescale this. So I'm going to scale it down. And then I'm actually going to move it. Now, you can move the position, clicked on position. You can move it X and Y here, however you like. But you can also come out here and grab it and just move it. So I'm going to move it up here. And voila. We have the roller skater putting their skates on in the beginning, and then they're out roller skating, and then that memory comes back of putting the skates on, you know. So there's a little bit of layering and things like that. So for the essential graphics, there's a lot of options in here. If we go back to browse, there's a lot of different things that you can do. So we did kind of a fancy title at first. There's also some kind of silly stuff in here that you could add. So here's a blowing kiss emoji. Let's put that let's put that on top of the skating. So we can take like this graphic. I'm gonna go ahead and select it. Under effect controls, I'm gonna click on position. Let's see if it'll let me move it. No, maybe not. Will it let me move it like this? Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over to, let's say, our bottom left. Okay, so there's an added graphic there, a little animation. It's a little bit cheesy. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can use on here, but you can also just apply a simple text as well. So let's say for the black and white portion of my ocean video, I'm just gonna go ahead and I just wanna add like a simple title here. So I'm gonna have my text tool selected. And let's see, how does it let me add text these days? This interface has changed just a little bit. Okay, there we go. And let me just drop it on there. So let me just back up. Okay, so with the text tool selected, I can just go ahead and click on the video, and I'm gonna type dramatic water because it is dramatic water. And you know, you can edit this just like you do anything else. So you can change the font here. I'm going to choose something that says, let's see, there's a style. Oh, I was going to say there's styles here, but that's actually not what we want to do. So under the text here, I'm just going to, I wish it gave you, oh, it does give you a preview. I want something kind of scripted. Okay, there we go. Dramatic water. I'm going to go ahead and take my selection tool. You can see that it adds a little bit of a drop shadow, and that's good. Especially for footage like this. You know, this is very high contrast. So whatever text you have on here, you want the text to contrast as much as possible. And it looks like it adds the drop shadow by default. So like if I click the drop shadow off, which is right here, you can see the difference in how easily you can read that. So it's usually a good idea to have a little bit of a shadow on there. So with this kind of text, you know, this isn't animated or anything. There's no preset to it because we just took the text tool and added it on there, which is totally fine. You don't always want your text to be animated. It becomes to be too much. But you can move your text around in here. Let me just zoom in on that a little bit. You know, you can move it around like this. You can also, let's go ahead and just animate the position of the water really quick. So let's go to the beginning of the clip when we first see dramatic water appear. You see the time clock. We'll do one little animation in here. I don't want to drive anybody nuts, but we're at the beginning of our clip. We're going to click on the time clock for position. And this is actually a little glimpse of the timeline right here. You can see it dropped a little keyframe. If we scrub forward to the end of the clip and actually you can drag it either to go up or to the right or whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter. I know this is hard to see right here, but there's another keyframe. I think I can I shrink that down? There's 2 keyframes here. Now keyframes are just animation commands, and you need 2 keyframes for an animation to happen. It's very basic. An animation needs a point A and a point B, okay? So we're just telling that we want dramatic water to be here at the beginning of the clip, and then we want it to move up you know, and end there at the end of the clip. So there's a little animation. You just did your own little animation. And you can animate any of those. So just feel free to play around with them. So we really do have, you know, kind of a basic video here. We haven't really talked too much about the artistic implications and the storytelling implications of how we've edited things here, but that's okay. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So let's just leave it at this. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit save, because we always hit save, right? And then we're going to go to export, and this is going to be the actual video that you export to turn in for this assignment. Now, this assignment isn't always required in my classes. It depends on what class you have. So if it's required for you to turn it in, you're definitely going to want to do this. Fine. I'm going to call this final submission so that I know that this is the one I need to submit. So final submission, is it going to the folder I want it to go to? Yes, it is. I'm going to hit save. Okay, we want to do high quality 1080 HD, H.264, and we're not going to really worry about any of the other stuff, okay? Now, I am going to show you how to upload this onto YouTube. I would say that YouTube would be the preferred method that you turn this in, because other platforms like Google Drive are fine, but students often don't turn the permissions on. So I really just suggest that you upload this to YouTube. If you already have a YouTube channel, you don't have to make this visible. You can just make it unlisted. So the only person that can see it is somebody with the link to your video, which is me, okay? That's really what I suggest you do. It is the easiest thing. Anyways, let's go ahead and export this video. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and upload this to YouTube, and I'm going to show you how to grab a link, and that's what you're going to submit for your assignment, is you're just going to submit the link, and I'll copy and paste that. All right, so here we're uploading the final video. It's called Final Submission Tutorial, which is fine. I'm kind of a crazy person and like to have everything be perfect and edited nicely, so I'm going to change the title here. There's a couple things you have to answer on YouTube. One is it for kids or not? I mean, it's not bad for kids, but it's technically not made for kids, so I'm going to go ahead and hit no. Now, the important thing on here, all of this you can really leave it at default, is the visibility. If you don't want this to be seen on your YouTube channel, which you probably don't, you want to choose that it's unlisted. So that means anyone with a link to the video can watch your video, but no one's going to be able to find it other than that, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then it's like, do you want to share it on all these things? Well, not really. But what you can do already, even though if your video is not quite uploaded yet, is you can copy the link here. Okay? And then that's what you're going to go into Moodle, and you can just submit it as a comment. You know, whether you're submitting it on Canvas or Moodle, depending on which platform, it's really easy to just go ahead and submit it. I think sometimes there's specifically a URL submission option. But there are comments that you can submit to, so really any way that you get me that link is perfectly fine. And then, yeah, so here's the video. You're all done. You edited your first video. So we'll be continuing to work on, the art of cinematic language or whatever, however it's pertaining to the particular class that you're in. But this should give you a very core foundation for being able to gather some assets, get those on a timeline, edit them together, and export them for video content. All right, and then, of course, after you export, it's never a bad idea to just check and hit save one more time, and you can go ahead and quit Premiere Pro. Now, one last thing that I do want to show you is what happens when you move a video file. So let's say I have these swans, the swan video, and I move it out of the folder. That's where Premiere remembers the video being. So if I go in here and open my video tutorial project, all right, once I open that project, it's going to give me a message saying there's something wrong here. One of your videos is missing. For this particular message, I'm going to go ahead and click offline all, which I'm just saying, oh, that's fine, the video is missing, but I want to show you what it looks like in here. Okay? So that's what happens when your files get disorganized and you're moving them around. So I am just going to go ahead and I'm going to close this project. I'm not going to save any changes because I didn't do anything to it. I'm going to take the swan video and I'm going to move it back where it's supposed to be. And then if I go back into Premiere and I open the project, you can see that it's fixed. It's because when I bring my assets in here, Premiere's like, oh, they're in the folder on the desktop. That's where we know that those videos are, and it's sourcing from there. So it's really important that you're not moving files around. If anything happens like this, just reach out to me. I can help you fix it really quick, but that's kind of the basic thing, is you just got to keep everything organized and don't move things around as you're working on the project. Okay, that's all. That's my speech about organizing your media. So anyways, that's it. Thanks, everybody.